Hello everyone, welcome to our channel I Teach. Today I am going to discuss annexation of Punjab. The state of Punjab was organized on effective lines by Maharaja Ranjit Singh, who belonged to a Sukhar Chakia misl. He was a strong military commander and he built a strong military or army which was considered to be the second best army in Asia after the British East India Company. He also took support of British in forming that army. And in 1809, when Ranjit Singh attempted to establish his authorities on the territories of the east of the river Indus, then the conflict arose between the Britishers and Maharaja Ranjit Singh. He was prohibited by the British authorities. Finally, a friendship treaty was signed between Maharaja Ranjit Singh and Britishers in 1809 at Amritsar, and at that time Governor General was Lord Minto First. What were the features of this treaty? Both parties agreed to respect each other's territorial integrity, and there was going to be a mutual peace between them for a period of 20 years. For the 20 years, everyone will respect their mutual domains. And finally, when the Ranjit Singh died in 1839, at that time Governor General was Lord Auckland. So a crisis came in the Punjab Empire where he was succeeded by 3 to 4 minor rulers whose names were Khadak Singh, Naunihal Singh, Sher Singh and Dalip Singh. These were all minor rulers. So problem of crisis of the rulers was there. Since Dalip Singh was a minor ruler, her mother started to rule on behalf of him. Her name was Rani Jindan and she was getting support from Lal Singh and Tej Singh. Lal Singh was Commander General. As such, British authority attacked Punjab in 1845 and which marked the beginning of First Anglo-Sikh War in 1845. At that time, our Governor General was Lord Hardinge. In this war, the Sikh army was thoroughly defeated due to the betrayal of higher officials and a very large part of Punjab province was annexed. The First Anglo-Sikh War came to an end by the signing of the Treaty of Lahore. What is the name of the treaty? Lahore, and the year is very important, that is 1846. Large part of Punjab province was annexed and the Sikh army was thoroughly defeated due to the betrayal of higher officials. And the sense of freedom was still left in the Sikh rulers, and the revolt of Mool Raj that began in 1848 provided an opportunity to British authority to launch final attack on Punjab in the Second Anglo-Sikh War. This marked the beginning of Second Anglo-Sikh War and the year was 1848. And in the Second Anglo-Sikh War, the Sikh armies were thoroughly defeated and the last independent state of India, that is Punjab, was annexed in 1848. And the Governor General was at that time was Lord Dalhousie, and the important treaty was signed between the Sikh rulers and the Britishers, that was the Treaty of Bahroval. One extra information I want to give you here is the doctrine of lapse theory that was started by Lord Dalhousie. According to it, it was basically a pro-imperialist approach to expand the realm of British Kingdom in India. It was introduced by Dalhousie, who was the Governor General. It was used by him to annex the independent Indian states. It was basically an idea to annex those states which have no heir, means state have no heir, they get less the right of ruling and it will not reverted by adoption. The states were annexed by Dalhousie by applying doctrine of lapse. And chronological order in which Indian states signed the doctrine of lapse or fell prey to it were the states of Satara in the year 1848, Jaipur in 1849, and in Sambalpur 1849 in the same year, Bahat in 1858, Udaipur 1852, Jhansi 1853 and Nagpur was 1854, and finally in Awadh was came into India under the Mal administration. For Mal administration, Awadh was annexed and the whole India was under the British rule, and they marked another journey of Britishers started from here. So, having acquired the vast empire of India, the British authorities started to organize as an efficient administrative machinery for the systematic exploitation of Indian resources. So, the British administration in India was based on three pillars, and these three pillars of British administration were known as the civil service, the police, and army. And what were the main features? First of all, the British from the very offset excluded the Indians from higher civil services, and the logic that was given was, what was the logic given? Was to exploit the Indian resources without Indian interference. In course of time, the civil services became the steel frame of British administration. If the question is asked which organ of the British state was known as the steel frame of British administration, that was Indian civil service. In 1800, a college was established by Lord Wellesley at Calcutta in Fort William to provide training. What was the purpose? Training of new recruits to civil services. And however, this was not approved by the British authority. This is important. This was not approved by the British authority in Britain, and they established another college in Britain in 1806. And what was the name of that? Haileybury in Britain. It's also very important. And further, a clause was inserted which indicated that there would be no discrimination. It was a landmark act because earlier these were the recruits were only nominated and Indians has very less participation in that. So first time it was mentioned that there will be no discrimination on the basis of caste, religion, sex, race, or place of birth. And further, in the Charter Act of 1853, there came as one more provision that the members of the Indian civil services would be selected not through the nomination but through competitive examination. So from here the competitive examination of the civil service aspirant started and is still continuing till present. Second main organ or the main arm, or we can say pillar of the British administration, was the police. The system of police was created in India by Lord Cornwallis. He created the police stations at different places to maintain law and order. And further, the Indian Police Act, which came in 1861, which provided the guidelines for functioning the police system in India. It continued or was operational in India till recently in 2007, when it was amended in 2007 on the recommendation of Soli Sorabji Committee. What is the name of Soli Sorabji Committee? And who was Soli Sorabji? He was former Attorney General of India. Further, moving, then the next pillars of British administration was the army. Army under the British rule served various purposes. It facilitated it facilitated the Britishers to defeat the Indian powers. Further, it protected the nascent British Empire in India from foreign attacks. Further, it was instrumental in suppressing the internal revolts, suppressing the Indian revolts, and lastly, it helped the British authority to maintain the perfect law and order. In the lower levels of the army, Indians were appointed to serve the British imperial interest, and the Indians who were appointed only at the lower levels of the British army were known as the Indian sepoys. What what were they known as? Indian sepoys. Apart from these three pillars, British authority also established an elaborate judicial system in India, and the first step was taken by Warren Hastings, who was the Governor General from 1772 to 17 1770 to 1785. First step was taken by him, who established district courts at various district levels. However, Lord Cornwallis established an elaborate hierarchy of courts in India, and for the first time he separated revenue administration from the judicial administration. So, the Cornwallis established the Munsif Court at the lowest levels. The cases under jurisdiction of Munsif courts were minor in nature. Munsif courts were presided by the Indian judges. These cases could be tried. These cases could be tried of the nature of which has disputes up to rupees 50. Next came the after Munsif registrar courts. They were presided by the British judges, and here in Municipal Court they were presided by the Indian judges. Cases were up to the rupees 100. Further, there were above registrar court there were district courts. They were also presided by the British judges, and cases of the nature of 2 rupees 150 were dealt here. Above all these, there were 4 provincial courts were established at Calcutta, Murshidabad, Dhaka, and Patna. This is very important. You write the names of these and learn them. There were provincial courts, and above all, the civil cases could be tried by 4 provincial courts of appeal, whereas criminal courts could be tried by 4 provincial courts of circuit. And above them were Sardar Diwani Adalat, highest court of highest court of appeal, highest court of appeal in civil cases, and correspondingly Sardar Nizamat was the highest court of appeal in criminal cases. But in this hierarchy, an important change was made by William Banting, who was Governor General and first Governor General of Bengal in 1831. What he did, he abolished 4 provincial courts of appeal and 4 provincial courts of circuit in 1831. In place of these, he established what he established commissionaries headed by commissioner. Further, in 1865, high courts were established in the presidential towns of Calcutta, Bombay, and Madras. And one extra information for you guys is in 1860 Civil Procedure Act was passed, and in 1913 Criminal Procedure Act was passed. Thank you.